Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Follower podcast. You know that we're in a series called The Making Of, and today on the show, we've got an amazing guest. My friend with me, his name is Kashif Masih. I met Kashif recently. I was in Abu Dhabi, and we were doing a bunch of work, which we'll hear about now. And again, as always, I just met this man. I heard about his life. I heard about his story with Jesus, and I just thought this is an incredible person to meet and to share his story with you. So we'll get into it today, and I just really hope that everything you hear is going to be helpful for you in considering what you think it means to follow Jesus in the world today. So Kashif, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
You're living here in Abu Dhabi?
Yeah, I have been living here for a long time. Yeah.
Yes. How long have you been living here?
11 years.
Really?
Yeah.
11 years?
Yeah.
Wow. But you didn't always live here?
No, I come from Pakistan.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, what's your original language in Pakistan?
My mother tongue is Punjabi,
Okay.
but official language we study in school is Urdu.
Urdu.
Yeah.
So how would you say hello follower podcast in Urdu?
Salam sabko.
Salam sabko. So English, always so many words. Hello follower podcast, salam sabko. That's powerful. Okay, so you grew up in Pakistan. Tell us a bit about your family.
So my family is not really, I would say, believer. It's like pagan, like just once a year they go to the church because they want to gather, and these kind of the families.
Okay.
Where I grew up, like even some of the people, they was addicted with the drugs and alcohol, and so it's not really I can find the Christian home. And also my dad was really bad drinker as I grew up. Excuse me. He was like really, when he drink, he sometimes get really angry and mad with the kids, and sometimes he beat other kids and like my siblings, but he did to me as well. And that really bring bitter in my heart as I growing up. Mm-hmm. And in my family, only the believer who believed in Jesus was my mother. Mm-hmm. So she's still alive and she's still believing God. Mm. And it's really incredible, journey to see that. It was not fun that time because I didn't know Jesus well. And it was always challenge to see how people treat us. It's very different. People view us because we are Christian, and they view us like really different.
So in your community, people didn't accept Christianity?
Yeah, there is a challenge. There is like a difficulty even, like not all of them I would say, some of them really nice people, but most of them are really like, they just want to convert, or they want one Christian to come in their religion. Mm-hmm. And many times I got an invitation as growing up, you should accept the majority of the religions that countries. So it was always really a challenge to see that. Wow. And also we deal with the racism. We couldn't drink the water in the same cup, and
So what is the dominant religion in Pakistan?
Islam.
Islam. Okay.
Yeah.
So there you couldn't drink water from the same cup as Muslim people.
Yeah.
Wow. Because you were Christian?
Yeah, because of if you say like a Catholic, they're considered to be Christian. So you just, the majority of, like most of the Christian has like their own town. So it's a big city, but they have like a little area where they live. And then they kind of live together because that they can help each other and pray for each other. And that's why we live in one place. And it's a very difficult when you go, and most of the area like in eastern Pakistan where I grew up, people do not have any association, like the majority of the religion do not have any association to eating or drinking with the Christian.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's really...
So what did that do to you as a young boy growing up? How did that make you feel? How did that make you think?
Growing up, it's like sometimes we grew up as we will adjust ourselves because the biggest religion is those people. And if we well study, or if we grew up and we have like business, and still sometimes we struggle because of where we come from and what our faith is. Growing up in a village, it's a very different life. We are very strong people. Like we growing up, like I think people who watching this and listening, I don't think so. If you go back to even 15 years or 20 years, nobody worked like 8 years, like nobody works child labor.
Yeah.
So this is what we done growing up, to do the child labor, because we have agriculture, so we work in the farm, and reason we want to do is that we can support family. And that was like a season work we do. But it was always really challenged to see that they as grew up like really strong, like really tough people. And they teach you to be a tough person to survive.
Because obviously you were quite poor as a family,
yeah.
so you had no option but to work.
Yeah, so we also like, we always, like growing up, my dad has business, like a wood business, but our family is considered to be little like a wealthy than the other Christian families, because my dad has work. But then once his business gone, then we was kind of, you know, in the same situation. We deal with the persecution as well. We had a one time when I was, I think, 12, we had the persecution with the with like group of people attacked in our home, and my brother stayed in prison for almost 3 years, and it was really torture for him to staying there. People do the torture, like even police do the torture to him, and he survived. But the sad part is like he's not believing Jesus. So that's very difficult, because I love him so much. I want him to enjoy the relationship with God. But he became a drugs addicted because the hatred he have, because of the pain and suffering he been through. He's just kind of become numb, and so that was really, really hard. I have 4 brothers and 2 sisters, and it's a big family. So we grew up together. Like we have only 3 rooms. We don't have so much stuff. We don't have so much material where we grew up. We grew up like in a very basic things. Sometimes we had to share like even our clothes with my brothers, because we cannot have like our own so many clothes and new clothes actually. It was really bitterness and anger grow in my heart. And I don't think so it's a good idea as a young person is so angry or so bitter against, you know, something, or something's happened to him. And I was like working and studying in the big city there in my country, and I met a girl, and she was like a strong in the majority of the religion in Pakistan. She was very strong with that. And she, right away we met, and she want to marry with me. But her intention was that she want to convert me into the biggest religion. And she introduced me, her father was imam. They have the gold business in that city. They have different shops. So they are really like a rich, like really wealthy family. And I was not practicing Jesus. I was like, I know some of the Sunday stories, I know some of the scriptures, and I go like once a year in the church. And I don't really have a relationship with God. But the funny thing is I don't have a relationship with him, but I was really angry with him.
Yeah.
So, and seeing this all persecution, and so I was like a 18-year-old, 19-year-old that time, and she gave me the book that I can read. So give me 3 books, and I was like so passionate, so I read it all in the next 3-4 months. I was day and night, I was just reading that, searching and reading that. And that was like, I was still like, wow, this is very great, it's very in order, but also I was confused about a lot of questions in their book. And I was ready for that. She told me, okay, my father will give you the word. But something in my heart, even reading 3 month or 4 month books and trying to practice and prayer, but still I didn't have peace. Peace is something people talk about, is peace, peace. If my hand is broke, it's not going to be in peace because it's break. It's not normal. So that was like, my heart was not like a normal. It was like unpeace, not satisfied. And I always told her that I need more time. But she was really pushing, like I should accept. And there was a time that there was a specific day, and then they say, the day is coming, and if you do before the day come, like eat or fasting, they have 1 month fasting. So if you do during the fasting, by the way, if you die, you will go to heaven. Like this kind of my brainwashed. And but you must accept that. And I told her that, and I told her father, I will accept it, but first I have to go and say goodbye to my family. So I was in the city, I go back to my village, I met with my family, I shared with my mother. And I told my mom, this is something that I'm going to do. And I kind of fed up of being very minority and just... And she was not surprised the first thing that I realized. Her face was not get like shocked or anything. She was just calm, very calm, and talked to me. And she asked me one question, and that question changed my heart. She asked me, Kashif, tell me something. If you lose something in the world, what would be the biggest loss in your life? I says, if I lose you or if I lose my family. And my mom said, no, that's not the biggest loss in your life. The biggest loss in your life is this, if you deny Christ and you walk away.
Wow.
Because somebody is die for you and he is graceful to you, even you didn't know him well.
Wow.
And somebody is resurrected for you. The first few seconds I think like, wow, this lady, she never went to school. She don't know still how to write a name. She didn't know anything. I'm getting degree, I'm studying. How she can know better than me? But then the words that she said, that break my heart as well at the same time. I don't know why I start crying. And I say to myself, what? She's your mother, she cannot lie with you. What if she's telling the truth? What if gospel is the good news? What Jesus is real die for you? This cannot be a fake story. And I came to my knee, I start crying and I say, God, I believe that you are real. I believe that you died for my sin. I believe that you resurrected for my sin. And I want to have a friendship with you. And if you become my friends, and if you change my heart, I will rock the gospel wherever I go. And one of the dangerous prayer you can pray is, God, come and change me, because he changed you instantly. I feel light. I feel like a big weight on my shoulder is just lift up. I feel free. When I remember, I just get like so touched with spirit, like, wow. I get bold. I get afraid of death. I get afraid of persecution. I was no more fear for anything. I was like bold. And I prayed with my mother and I says, you become my witness. I want to give life to him. That was a great time. I went back to the same girl and her father. I didn't meet with the girl, I met with the father first. And he says, you are ready? And I says, actually not. If you really want to know, he was imam. He knows knowledge. He have like all kind of study. I says, if you really want me to marry with your daughter, then she have to accept Jesus Christ. I was so bold, and I was sharing, like, I remember the Sunday school story. I just start reading. I just coming in my mind. I was just praying with my mother, and the million of picture that I just see like flushing on before my eyes, like wow. Like just something is just come in my heart and mind, that even I can go now and share with somebody. I did share with him, with her, and I says, I'm sorry, but I want to follow Jesus, because I met with him yesterday. I had a relationship with him. He became my friend, and then their reaction was really poor. They really threatened me. They really trying to trying to falsely accuse me, and so I had to leave that city because of that. I couldn't complete my degree that I want to do.
Because you were actually in danger, staying there?
Yeah. And but I never regret that, because I know what I find is more than degree. I find what is more than my career. What I find is more than what I can ever achieve. So I came and started living in the labor camps.
So for people who don't understand what a labor camp is, because a lot of people don't know this. A lot of people, when they think Dubai or they think Abu Dhabi, they just think buildings, skyscrapers, money. And yet there's this whole culture of labor camps, which is a lot of the workforce actually of this nation.
Yeah.
Help people understand a little bit, what is labor camps? How does that work?
Labor camp is actually like the people who work like a construction worker, who are working in the building, like building the building, and also taxi driver, and the people who are cleaner and waiter. So because they come from India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nepal, Sri Lanka, and even some of the Africa and Philippines. So they came that they can make the money for their family. And when they get here, they find work long hours, which is maybe the normal work they work in their country, their home country. And camp is like a kind of a cheap accommodation, and living like a common people, like a bachelor. They live in one room, like 8 to 10 people, and they all live like a family, like inside the camp, and they have a common toilet and common kitchen that they can cook the food or eat the food.
We actually visited a labor camp 2 nights ago.
Yeah.
And I think my first impression was, I've done a little bit of work in the townships in South Africa as well. And I think it resembles a lot of that, the labor camp. And when Kashif says that there's like 6 to 8 people living in a room, there's about 6 in the room we were in.
Yeah, that was a nicer room.
Yeah, and there's about 6 people in that room. And how big would you say that room is? Wide and...
I would say like 3 by 3 probably.
Yeah,
yeah. 3.
So about 6 grown men living in a 3 by 3 meter, really container room.
Yeah.
And then corporate toilets, corporate mess halls, eating spaces. I was speaking to 2 of the young men there, they're 26 years old, and they just said there is no such thing as fruit and vegetables in their diet. They just don't get that. So these guys are doing like heavy construction work all day. They're building a oil refinery plant, like building like scaffolding and everything for this, and they're not getting fruit and vegetables. And I just felt like it was a really difficult existence for them. It was a very difficult space.
Yeah. They definitely deal with different depressions, like different issues. I mean, they deal with the pornographic, they deal with alcohol, they deal with the, depression, they deal with different kind of loneliness. So that really loneliness is really hit their heart and mind, because whenever there is some festival or something like that, like Christmas or like other religions have other like Eid, so then it's very difficult for them to afford to go and enjoy with their family.
Yeah. And
I've seen people like cry, they put head here and cry, like they feel the comfort when you go and talk with them. I was reading a Charles Spurgeon's, letter. That time I was not, but now I can experience that by reading some of the people's book. I was thinking like as he says, the ministering and pastoring is not hard work, it's a heart work. So we need to prepare our heart for that, and passion. And it's not just a job or something like a random work. We are working for boss, want to make him happy. We are working with somebody who have authority all over the world. So that was my like really encouraging part, that as a go. So I came in 2007. I was baptized. I started living in the camp, and then this is another chapter began. Like, see the brokenness people have. In my mind when I came, that I can build a career, I can do something, I can build a future. But when you fall in love with something, then everything is changed. Like, you don't really care anymore the other things, even your anger. And
can you say that again? When you fall in love with something,
yeah, then
everything changes.
Everything is changed.
Wow.
Everything is changed. That's the truth. Like, and the first few days I hid the labor camp when I arrived here. But then I see in the ground levels, the people in my room was a 4 different nationality, 4 or 5 different nationality. And I always mention to my brother and sister in the churches when I preach or when I share my testimony is that sometimes we go to the mission, that we can be missionary, but sometimes mission come to us, that we can share the gospel where we are. And in 2014, I resigned from my job and I start doing a different job. And I met my wife, and it was like really incredible story. Like I was not thinking, and I was not ready for that I will get married and like that. I was really focused on my work and what I'm doing. And I met my wife in 2014, end of 2014, and then in 2015, we have like really, the moment I met after 2 weeks, I was like confident with she's going to be my wife. And I told her after 2 weeks that I like you and I want to marry with you. And for her was like really like crazy, like you cannot tell like this way. But we are really honest people, like we just talk straight, like, if we like something, we don't like. And that's really fun. Then I also share with one of the close friend, I like this girl, and you see this building, my future wife live in this building. And it was like, the person asked me, do you have her phone number? I said, no. Do you have her email ID? And I said, no. Do you have her Facebook? And I said, no. And then he said, how that can be possible? And it was interesting, like my faith was really strong, and I know, and I had a confidence. Yeah. And then after 6 months, I proposed, and we did. I proposed, and she said yes. So we married, and we have a beautiful one son, and so that's incredible.
But then you're not working in the labor camps anymore, because as you're sharing the gospel, you're sharing with more and more and more people.
Yeah.
And this work starts to spread, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so then tell us, what does that become now?
It became now actually we come up with the idea that we have to have some kind of registered like a organization, and we talk with the churches, local churches here, and then we plan the ministry through the church, and it's called Nomad. So Nomad is actually a ministry who working in the labor camps, and our vision statement is to be hand and feet of Jesus Christ into the Middle East labor camp. So this is really like we are, are nomadic, like everybody's nomad, like living in one place for 6 months and then they move. So we see that these immigrant workers come and they live here for 6 months, one camp, and then they move to another camp. And sometimes even they go to the different Emirates or even the different Middle East country. So they are something like, and it's been really great to see that how many people are listening the gospel, and we were able to start different groups in different camps and train them. And our simple, like a simple way to train people is, we want to train people that they can able to train other people, and then they can able to train other people. And one of the sad part that I have when missionary talk about, doing mission is such a sacrifice things, and mission is doing this and that. I don't think so. They really understand the mission. Mission is a breath to me that I can breathe. That's the mission. That's like sharing gospel. And it has to be more than our sacrifice and more than our things. It's something like, why you have to sacrifice and then you follow somebody? Why we cannot enjoy the fully relationship with God without grumbling and complaining?
Wow.
So I'm really enjoying that.
Something where Paul talks about like all these light and momentary afflictions are nothing compared to what we will inherit in the eternal.
Yeah, that's
like he becomes so big that even though it is hard, it's not something to complain about because he is greater.
That's absolutely true. And then so when you go from there and see these people give life to Jesus here and go back, so the idea that we can train people, that they can go and train other people, and then those people can go and train other people, and also they have accountability with each other, disciple them, and share the gospel with other people. There is a lot of great conversion happen. But one guy, his hand has some kind of disease, and doctor couldn't figure out. The skin is falling apart, and he was not a Christian. He come from a Singh family, which is they wear the turban, has big beard. So he started coming to our group, and he couldn't think anything like he can, doctor can find out cure. So he started coming, and he come first day and he couldn't get healing. So he went back. Then he come back again. 4 weeks he had been coming, and I asked him, why are you coming? And he says, my hand is still there, but I feel peace in my heart, so that's why I come. It's good. After 6 months, after 6 weeks, his hand start healing. So his hand and his all arm is healed. It's like
healed,
like a natural skin.
Wow.
All is healed. And now this guy came and he says, I want to make a relationship with Jesus. And he make a relationship with Jesus, and he starts sharing his testimony. He raised his hand and his testimony. This is my hand was damaged, and he make it right. But then when he was giving testimony, he shared something, and I had an interview, like I was talking to him, and I asked him, Nirmal, why you accept Jesus? Is because your hand is healed? And he said, I want to tell you, before he healed my hand, he healed my heart.
Come on. So good.
That's the things that Jesus done. He healed his heart.
Wow.
So I see that
before he healed my hand, he healed my heart. Oh,
so he healed his heart. So that's the things you see that. And then he shared the gospel with his family. And I never seen anyone who come through nomad and accept Jesus and just quiet.
Yeah.
And he just go and talk. And I have several stories who go to India,
and you're seeing so many people who are choosing a relationship with Jesus here, and then going back into their nations, unreached places. And we're talking Pakistan, we're talking Nepal, all these places, and they're actually planting churches because of what they've learned in the labor camps in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, and one of my pastor friends, he told me from Nepal, he says, actually, I want to encourage you, and I want you to continue to share the gospel. As we are pastor in Nepal, we discover something, that the more people giving life to Jesus in Middle East than in Nepal.
Yeah, it is so good.
because of the gospel.
So good. And so how long has Nomads been an organization?
It's been now like 3 years officially.
Yeah.
But I have been doing ministry for a long time, since I came. It's been 10 years I have been in the field and continues taking the gospel and sharing.
And you also do relief work, you do food and feeding, because some of these guys, like you're saying, there was that one camp where the company that employed them went bankrupt. And so for like 8 months, they just didn't get paid.
Yeah,
And they were
so-
just abandoned in the labor camp.
Yeah, it was like more than 10 months, and this is like the owner's run away, and he was out of the country. He couldn't help actually. So then, as a church, we go and we help.
Yeah.
And that story inspired me. One day I was reading my Bible, and I was just read that what is the church treasure actually. And I read a story, is it 250 AD, like a long times ago. The story was one guy, his name Lawrence, he was a deacon in the church in Roman. Because gospel has so much power, it's changed nation, family, people, heart, all religion even.
Yes.
So the revival taking place in the Europe, in Rome, and a lot of Rome people coming to know Lord. And there was a Roman government, and Laverian was not happy. So they go to the big church and they gather all of the pastors. Some of them they killed, execute them. But one guy, they ask, who is the treasure guy? And they say, is Lawrence, Deacon Lawrence. So they take him and say, you can live your life, but tell us where all the church treasure is. So he says, I needed 3 days to gather all of the treasure. So he took 3 days, and where church actually was spending the money is poor, desperate, broken, blind, widow, orphanage. So he gathered all of the people in one place. And then after 3 days, the military come, the Laverian government come, and they says, oh, where is the treasure? And he opened the door.
All these
And he
people
says,
are here. Wow.
these are the church treasure.
Wow.
And they says, the government says, because you cheated with us, you lied with us, we're going to give you terrible death. And he says, I don't care, because I know where I'm going. And they put him into the grill, like in the fire, and they burn him on the grill. And you see something like the church treasure is really, it's the people, it's not the money. And there's anything in the world can satisfy. And I know people are really struggling with a lot of things, but I think only our heart can satisfy Jesus. There's no one else can satisfy us. So went and talked with these people. Once we done this, like people was going home, and the Muslim friends, Hindu friends, the people who never heard about Jesus, they come to me and he say, well, 21 of them actually make a relationship with Jesus.
21.
Yeah, after serving that, it was like 800 people. So when you do that, it's a really impact people.
Yes.
And it's a gospel.
Yes.
Like one of the teachers says, I can preach something. He says, you can preach better than me, but you cannot preach better gospel than me. The gospel is the gospel.
Yeah.
You preach, I preach, even the young man preach, or the person who, anyone preaches, the gospel is the gospel. So when these people make a relationship with Jesus, in the end of the day, they says, one thing we will remember. We will not remember our camp will trap or something has happened and we waste our 8 months of our life, or we was in struggle. But what we remember is that we was broken and somebody come to us. We was hopeless and somebody come to us. And we was we don't have a food and somebody come to us. We don't have a cloth and somebody give us a cloth. We don't have a medicine and somebody come and buy medicine for us. And we will remember that Jesus people will come. Jesus people had come and they help us. They help us with that. And we will remember you are Isa all of our life. Isa is being Jesus. So that's something he done, a natural work in our heart. And I think every Christians need to make a decision today is that, well, I'm going to miss around my time, which is precious, life. I'm going to waste my life, or I'm really going to take adventure and be happy and go and talk with people. One of the sad part is, in 100 Christians, out of 110 people have ever somebody else lead to follow Jesus, which means 90% of us are hidden, silent, underground, and just mute Christians. And God did not want us to be. God wants us to be light of this world. God wants us to be the salt of this world. But if we are a salt of this world, we need to get out from the salt shaker, It has inside the shaker, we need to get out and just pour out for our family and friends and people we love, how astonishing would be like the day we stand before God and our friend is other side of the hell and he say, oh, you didn't tell me. You say you love me. You didn't tell me. How difficult would be that? But then we maybe will not have a chance to preach there. And I want to just encourage is that.
Kashif, thank you for being on Follow, my friend.
Yeah.
You've encouraged us so much, and
Thank
your
you.
story is such an encouragement to me.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Guys, don't waste your life. Do the things, man. Follow Jesus. Be the light, be the salt. If you've enjoyed this, please share it with everybody. Subscribe to the channel. We will see you in the next episode of the Follower Podcast.